Welcome to the Fitness and Lifestyle Podcast. I'm your host, Danny Kennedy, and I'm here to help you become the very best version of yourself. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fitness and Lifestyle Podcast. Today, we're obviously joined by past guests who've been on a few times now.
It's all three now.
Michael Zerafa, welcome back to the show, man.
Thanks, brother. It's good to be back, as always.
As always, man. So tell us, we'll jump straight in. Been pretty busy since the last time we caught up. We were chatting just before we hit record. I think the last time we had a chat was, the last time we sat down was before Mundine. And then after that we jumped on, I think we jumped on during COVID, we jumped on a call after the whole zoo debacle and all that crap. But tell us about the last 6 months, mate. How's things? Obviously, just come off a big win against Hardman. And then obviously you jumped on SAS as well, which I'm sure we'll touch on
Crazy.
As we go through. But yeah, how's the last kind of 6 to 12 months been for you, man?
Yeah, man, it's been good. Like I said, I was in a strict training camp. Last month we had a huge fight, which, was an IBF world title eliminator.
Yeah.
I had a tough guy in front of me, but, I trained the house down, man. Like, I added so much things that we didn't normally do, built and worked on improving, every day. And, I went out there and knocked him out in style. Now I'm number 2 in the world and, in line now, mandatory for a world title shot, which is fucking exciting.
Tell us about the rankings. So we were obviously chatting about it just before, but for those that aren't, I guess, familiar with how the whole boxing rankings work with all the different federations and whatnot, like how does that actually play out? So you said number 2 in the world at the moment, but there's different federations or different divisions.
So there's 4 main sanctioning bodies. There's the IBF, WBA, WBO, and WBC. So I'm ranked top 3 in the world in 2 of those. Mm-hmm. I'm number 1 in Australia and top 4 pound for pound in the middleweight division. So I'm sitting at a very high and comfortable spot. It's scary, looking at the guys in front of me, but
it's exciting.
Yeah, 100%, man. That's where I want to be. I want to fight the best. To be the best, you got to beat the best. And whether I win, lose, or draw, I want the opportunity to fight these guys. And the guys in front of me are big names, and it's good. I'm on their radar now. They know who I am. They didn't before, but they do now. And that's what it's been. That's what my whole career has been about. Just fighting these guys and climbing the ranks. And number 2 in the world, it's a nice position.
Nice feeling. What's the saying? Pressure is a privilege.
Exactly right, man. Exactly.
Good times coming up. So we'll go back a bit because I do want to kind of go into detail about the Hardman fight and the lead up to that. As you said, the camp for that was pretty intense and whatnot. But you obviously cleaned up Mundine quite easily after we spoke. But all respect there. And then you had another fight in between, which was pretty comfortable win.
Man. Look, everyone gave me a lot of heat for that fight, but I got injured on a TV show, which was unplanned, obviously. But and we just wanted to jump back in the ring because we knew we had the Hardman fight, and I didn't want to jump in the ring straight into that fight, because it was a tough fight. It was meant to be a tougher fight than it turned out to be. But so we just got a guy that was a journeyman, tough. He was on a walk forward just to see where I was at with the injury, and we blasted him out in 4 rounds, and we got a good indication of where we're at with the injury and stuff like that. And just a training camp. I wanted to, because of COVID and stuff like that, I wanted to just get back into a mindset of being in a training camp, and dieting and stuff like that, and basically being back in routine. So for me, it was just about it wasn't even about the win, it was just about to see where I was at. Obviously, it was risky.
Not building up too much ring rust.
Yeah, and just sitting around and doing nothing. There's difference of just training like I'm doing now, and then there's camp training, where the sparring and all that stuff is involved. So for me, like I said, it was just to get the ring rust out and just to see where I was at with that injury.
Just quickly going back to the rankings again. So what is the actual, how do they figure that out? So with the different sanctioning bodies or whatever you said before, so like how, you might be number 2 in 1, number 3 in 1, and then number 1 in Australia and all that stuff. Like how do they actually figure that out across all of them?
So to be where you're at, you got to beat that person, or there's a vacant spot whether someone goes up a division, goes down a division, and it becomes vacant, and then you have to fight someone in the top 10 to take that position, or you just go straight for that fight. And if you want to be number 3 and number 3 accepts and you beat him, you're now number 3 in the world. So you got to basically beat the guy that's sitting in that position.
So which is it, IBF or was it WBA?
WBA.
Is that, which one of those is Triple G?
So he's in both.
He's in both, right.
But he's the IBF world champion, and I think he's ranked number 2 in the WBA, I think.
It's got to be pretty surreal, like even just being in that conversation and then having the possibility of potentially, you know, lining up against
Yeah, that's what I mean.
someone
Like, they didn't know who I was prior. They do now. You know, I've been on their radar for a while. Even in my Instagram posts, I always say, I make it clear that I want to fight these guys. And now, like I said, you know, they've got my name in their mouth. It's like, Jesus, you know. But again, that's what I want. You know, I don't want to shy away from the top fights. I want to fight these guys.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys are protecting their records. You know, they're fighting guys from Thailand, taxi drivers. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm the best in my division. It's like, mate, you know, how do you walk around? And I get, you know, you need tune-up fights. You need to try new things. And in between hard fights, you know, you can't have a hard fight every fight, which I have the last 10 fights. But, you know, you gotta have these tune-up fights. I get that. But these guys in Australia, they're like, oh, which we're talking on off the camera and podcast, that, you know, there's a lot of guys that just, you know, get lucky and they get robbed in their careers, and so, you know, where do they go from there?
Now, being in a position now where, you know, your next fight is definitely a world title fight, isn't it?
Yes, I'm guaranteed now the IBF. So basically what happens now, Canelo kind of stuffed everything up a little bit, but, you know, full credit to Bill, I was an absolute machine. But now it puts a little bit of pressure on Triple G, because Triple G was meant to fight Canelo if he won.
Yeah.
But
that'd
now,
be their third fight.
Correct. Now there's a rematch clause, obviously, which I think Canelo wants to take up. So now they've basically gone back to Triple G and said you either vacate or defend. Me being number 2, so obviously number 1, Falco gets the first choice, but he's booked in to fight.
Right. So who's he fighting?
I don't know who he's actually fighting, to be honest. Another guy from Brazil, I guess. But again, I think it's just a journeyman. He's just getting the ring rust out, but makes him out of the mix to fight Triple G.
Right.
So I'm number 2. I'm basically the next guy in line. So he either fights me or vacates. If he vacates, then basically goes back to the original plan. I fight Falco for the world title later this year.
Yeah, so obviously you have to wait for him to take his next fight and then play it out from there. Do you think now, being in a position you're in now, which, you know, your next fight in general is going to be world title fight, but being on that big stage now, and you've kind of in the past already gone overseas and fought these big names and been under the big lights and in front of the big crowds, do you feel, obviously the experience is something that you can't buy, but do you feel like that experience that you've had, even if the result didn't go your way, do you feel that works in your favour now?
100%. You know, that's what I said to the guys here. You know, they're fighting on a main event show in front of 2,000 people at a local pub, you know, which that's Australian boxing here, you know. But to go over there, I fought in front of 20,000 people. You know, I had Michael Buffer, my ring announcer. You know, like, it's just another world over there. You know, I had my head on cars and billboards. I was on TV shows. I was like, man, this is epic, you know. So it's a big jump, and you know, now I'm used to that. You know, I've fought 7 or 8 world champions now. I've been in big stadium fights. I've fought all around the world. So I'm conditioned now. I'm ready, and I feel like, you know, I fell short 4 times out of the 34 fights. But now it's my time. I'm 30, physically, mentally, emotionally. I think I'm just on another level now, and it showed in my last fight.
I guess it's when you look at, say, for example, football or basketball or something, a team takes a loss, or even in other individual sports, you go back, watch tape, see where you can improve and whatnot. But as a fighter, like, you've obviously matured more as a fighter. You've improved as a fighter, your skill set, your fitness and strength and whatnot. So is there really much or anything that you can take away from those losses if they're kind of like few years ago?
I never look back. Yeah. I never look back on anything I do. They're in the past. You can never get things back. I never watch things because you get down, you get depressed on like, oh, I should have, you know, I could have done this. And so for me, I just learn off those failures. You know what I mean? You can't fail at the same time twice. You know what I mean? Like you can't do that, you know? So for me, it's just more, you know, growing as a person mentally. You know, physically, you can't really learn much new things and do things like that. It's just putting yourself in these situations where your mind can grow. You know, like in the back rooms of my last fight, I was like, man, aren't you nervous? I was like, it'll be what it'll be. Yeah. You know, like, I can't put this extra pressure on myself.
There's nothing you can do in that point to improve.
Correct. And I learned that from those fights, you know, like being in the big stadium fights, the losses, and, you know, like even now, like I do like little things like have cold showers just to mentally put myself in a situation where I'm like,
get yourself uncomfortable and get used to it.
You know, like it's freezing cold, but, you know, I'm going to have a cold shower because, you know, I don't want to do it. And that's the thing, doing something you don't want to do, you know, and that's when you don't want to jump, that's the time to jump.
On that topic, obviously you sustained the injury in the SAS show. Tell us a bit about that and like the extent of that injury, because we were chatting before about Sabrina being on the show recently, and she was kind of running us through, like, I guess how serious the injury was. But what actually was the injury?
I didn't think it was going to be that brutal, man. Like, you know, I've seen TV shows and stuff. I thought it was all a little, fake, but it was full on. Like if you're too close to fire, you get burned. If you're too long underwater, you'll drown. So for me, what happened in the first half an hour, I was just generally unlucky. I was climbing on the sand, and on the wet stuff, it was hard. So I was flying through it. But as soon as I got to the dry stuff, my arm sunk in. As I tried to pull myself, I heard my pop, and my shoulder dislocated, and my C6 or C7 disc bulged and hit a nerve. And basically my left side just did not want to work, couldn't move, couldn't do nothing. That took 5 months to rebuild, literally seeing doctors, physios, and that's why it led to that fight in December against that guy that wasn't world class, just to see where I was at. But it was pretty full on, man.
So how long were you not able to hit the pads and throw a punch? For that whole time?
Yeah, 4 or 5 months, man. Yeah, I was just literally running 20 kilometers a day.
Just running, keeping conditioning up in that way.
And it was mentally breaking me, because obviously I was overrunning, and then the mind went before the body. And I was like, shit, what do I do now? And I couldn't punch, which was making me more sad, more. Was it playing on your mind coming back into not only just training, but even that first fight back? That by the sounds of what you just said, like the actual injury itself was just unlucky. But was it something that could potentially happen again? Look,
or was it a bit of just like a
freak
thing that happened?
Freak thing happened, man. Like, because I've put the body in situations where like a body just shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even pushing that hard. I was just army crawling on the sand, which is pretty basic.
Yeah.
And just as I put my arm in and tried to pull myself, I heard it go, and I think Lockie or Barry Hall, one of the guys I was next to, go, mate, Mick, you're all right. And I said, fuck, like I just felt this burning sensation. I was like, man, I'm not well. I just couldn't move my hand. And I tried to soldier on. I tried to be a hero, but it got to a point where like the running challenges and stuff like that, I could get through. And like, I don't know how I got through that heights challenge, climbing in ropes, and because I only had one arm. And even Ant Middleton said to me, he goes, mate, I don't know how you got through that. I said, mate, same. And but then I got to the swimming one, and I was actually drowning because I couldn't keep myself up, and I started panicking, and I was like, what do I do? And then when the doctor put his hand underneath my top, he goes, mate, you're straight to the hospital, because he felt my shoulder just gone.
Yeah. Was that when you made the decision to go on the show, was that something that you put thought to in terms of the fact that there's a potential risk of injury?
Oh, yeah, of course. I knew it wasn't going to clash with my career, but I didn't think I was going to get injured. I thought, it's just another test. My body's built for it. I'm mentally, physically ready. Again, just a freak accident, man. Because I was like one of the favourites to win. And said, mate, how'd you go on real far to the end of this show? And
did you do anything specific training wise for that, or just do your normal training routine?
Thing, man. I added a few things in there with weight,
strength based stuff.
Yeah, strength stuff. But I mean, it was pretty basic, like running, just boxing. Because boxing does it all. In a boxing training session, we do boxing, strength and conditioning, we do road work.
Yeah.
So basically doing it all in one. But full credit to those guys, and the guys on that show, mate. Anyone that says females can't do what males do is stupid, mate. Because some of those girls in there proved everyone wrong. They were absolute weapons.
Brutal, hey. I was going to ask you, so leading into the Hardman fight and just any fight in general, particularly your next one coming up, regardless of who the opponent is, like how much time gets spent on watching tape?
I never watch any.
Right.
I never.
From the coach's side of things,
we don't watch any. For us, for me, I say, like, it's hard. People say, how do you prepare? I just say it's like driving. I just focus on what I've got to do. If you got in the car and had to worry about what everyone else does, you'd go mad.
Yeah.
So for me, I just do me. And, I just focus on myself. We never go to the gym and work on things that we're bad at. I mean, that we're good at. Sorry, because we're good at those, There's room for improvement, obviously, on anything, but we always work on things that we need to improve on.
Yeah.
Defensively, whatever it may be, attack, whatever. But for us, we just do us. And then when it comes to fight time, people say, what's the game plan? And I always just say, man, I'll wing it.
Yeah.
And I do. Because how can I sit there and say, we've got 12 rounds and this is what I'm going to do? And you can't prepare for the unknown.
Exactly right, yeah.
I just do me. And eventually I'll find my way. And that's what I did the first round. I was only in first gear. We got 12 rounds. So, and in the first 30 seconds, I found my distance. And I knew straight away in my head that it was gone. It was over. I actually come back in the first round and said to my trainer, I'm going to stop him. He goes, no, just stop, Mick. What are you doing? Focus. I said, I'm going to stop him.
Is that, so 12-round fight, regardless of who the opponent is that always the case? Like you go into it saying these first few, I'm just going to just react to whatever happens? Or do you ever kind of go in thinking like, I want to finish this early?
No, I never do that. No. I just, you got 12, you got 36 minutes. So I mentally, before I sign a contract 12 weeks prior, I tell myself, okay, it's a 12-rounder. I'm prepared for 36 minutes. I'm signing this contract for 36 minutes. So I never go in there saying, oh, look, I go in there mentally saying, like, I'd like it to finish early.
Yeah.
But I don't go there looking for it. That's why they ask me, oh, how's this fight going to end? I just say with my hand raised, it's a win for me.
Yeah.
People that go, I'm going to knock you out in the first round. And
almost setting yourself up for failure by saying things like that with that expectation as well.
And I've learned that, growing up in the sport and stuff, that as I've been that in my earlier inexperienced days where I was like, oh, I'm going to knock you out, I'm going to do this. And then all of a sudden I'm like, shit, I've got all this pressure on myself now.
And you're probably not in the state where you're ready to react to something that wasn't planned or something you didn't expect.
Yeah, and then you're like, shit, I said fourth round. Fuck, we're going now into the fourth round. I haven't stopped him yet. Or there's a minute left. You put all this pressure on yourself. Now it's just, you know what? I'm in my own vehicle. I'm driving my own car.
Yeah.
I'm doing me. I'm happy. I'm excited. I'm here. Let's do it, man. I'm ready for war. And I said that to my trainer my last fight. He goes, how you feeling? I said, Sammy, I'm ready to die tonight. Let's do it.
Well, you kind of have to be, hey?
Yeah, man. Like, it's war. Like, as much as it's not, as barbaric, it's the same.
Yeah.
We're going in there to punch each other's head.
Putting life on the line,
or be killed,
So you don't go. So coming to any fight, you're obviously not planning for. You're not going into it going, I'm going to knock him out in this round, whatever. But how do you kind of control the urge to just go nuts, or do you just do that once you got him hurt? So obviously clipped Hardman, and he didn't look like he was going to be in there for much longer. So after that, is it still go in and react to whatever he does, or are you going in there and just going, right, we'll just finish the job?
I get a bit. Sometimes I get a bit excited, and that's why I looked at my because when I heard him and I saw him fall back down that second time and get back up, I was going to run at him.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous because he was still 2 and he could throw, and he was heavy-handed. But I looked at my trainer, and he was like, "Just Mick, just relax, nice and slow." So that's why I kind of, stalked. I just stalked him because I knew he was hurt, and I knew that his confidence was gone.
Yeah,
it broke his heart. So.
Is there a bit in your head though, going like, if he gets to the end of the round and has this break, there's a chance he can kind of recover and then?
Nah. Well, look, as a fighter, I know. I look into your eyes and I know you don't want to be there. And I knew he didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw the fight. When I walked out, people were like, "Man, like I've never seen Zerafa so switched on."
Yeah.
And there was a guy that I don't know if you saw. I was walking out. He was a Hardman fan that got right into my face somehow through security. And people say, "How did you not punch him out?" I said, "I didn't even see him." He goes, "He was in your face." I said, "How was that switched on?"
Switched on, yeah.
I said, "I didn't." I was looking at him from the moment I got to the venue. I just eyeballed him, and I just knew he could not make eye contact with me. And like Mike Tyson said, like as soon as they look away, it's all over. And I truly believe they couldn't look me in the eye.
Yeah.
And you're about to fight, you want to look at the guy you're fighting. Couldn't look at me.
When you're leading up to the fight, so obviously with the Hardman one, it got pretty heated pretty much at any opportunity that it possibly could. I'm assuming like certain fighters, just naturally, like certain fighters that you're up against, there actually is like legitimate bad blood there. But with Hardman and it being like the way it was, and then after the fight, obviously it was just all respect between the both of you. But does it get to like, was there legitimate hate between you two?
We hated each other. I actually couldn't stand him, and I actually said to him, I said, if you lived in Melbourne and you acted the same way, I said the fight would have started months prior. He was just, look, for me, we could hate each other but as soon as we fight, for me, you could still hate me after the fight, but on my end, there's no bad blood. But before the fight, just the way he carried himself, the way he acted, the disrespect he showed, I had to win. For me, it just made it so much easier punching him in the head. And I said to myself, I don't care anymore. Like, I didn't even engage in media because I said, I don't care about the media. I just want to hurt him. I said, excuse my French, but they were like, I said, fuck the belt. I'm coming for his head. I don't care about the belt. I don't care about the eliminator. I said, I'm coming for his head. I'm taking his head straight off his shoulders. And they could see that I was serious.
Almost did.
Yeah, well, I was just like, he's crossed lines. With things he said, things he did. Every time we're at a press conference or in front of each other, he tried to attack me. And that's when I knew again, that if I was getting under your skin by doing nothing, you're not as strong as you think you are. And every time he got in front of me and this and that, he couldn't control his emotions.
There been any communication post-fight?
Look, I did the right thing. I called him, morning up of the fight, just to, wish him all the best in his career. He was getting married. And I just wished him and his wife to be, I think wife now, all the best moving forward in his career. I'm looking forward to his bounce back. But no, not much, to be honest. Just a phone call, maybe one message after that.
Yeah. So in the position you're in now, so the next fight is a world title fight, but as we kind of touched on before, that could be months away. So how do you, like mentally, how do you keep yourself, obviously someone like yourself is extremely motivated and you don't really need any extra motivation to train and whatnot, but how do you not kind of burn out? Like obviously you've got your eyes on this next fight and it's a big occasion and it's a really big opportunity for you. So because it could potentially be so far away, how do you stay like on track mentally?
It is hard, but that's the difference between good and great. You know, the guys that just say, you know what, I don't want to do it today. I'm sore, I'm tired, but fuck, I've got to get in the gym and do it. You know, and I say that every day, man. I can't be wrecked. I've got people here that can back me up. Like, man, I say it all the time. I'm wrecked. I can't be bothered. I just want to. Anyone wants to stay home, eat pizza, you know, and drink beer. But you know, for me, it's, you know, whilst I'm complaining, I'm driving to the gym. You know what I mean? And I say to everyone,
do what needs to be done.
You just got to rock up. You know, once you rock up, you got your trainers. Mick, do this. We're doing this. We're doing that. All you got to do is just rock up.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the easy part. You know, but for me, like I said, it's the end goal. What's to come? You know, and September, October is not that far away. You know what I mean? So for me, I'm getting ready. I'm always ready because in saying that, I'm in a great position, but you might get a call today and say, Mick, we're giving you a $4 million fight to fight, you know, this guy.
Yeah.
But it's in 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
You just got to stay ready.
You got to stay ready all the time. And for me, it's a lifestyle, you know, and you know, Andre Ward said a world champion is not someone who's in the ring, it's how they carry themselves outside the ring.
Outside of it.
You know, always being ready, always maintaining a weight. You know, a lot of fighters, they fight, they're like, yeah, we got the win, and they blow up 15 kilos. And then when they go into camp, they're trying to do the same things they did when they were fit, you know, and that's where injuries happen. And, you know, guys...
And you're wasting half your time trying to get in shape, let alone
and then they got a diet, like super strict, which then mentally cooks you. So for me, I can eat KFC, I can eat Macca's, I can have lollies, sweets, whatever, because I'm always training.
Yeah.
You know, so I just changed, to stay motivated, I just changed my thought process. You know, instead of training for a fight, now I'm training to eat.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll say, you know what, if I go do my 10K run or whatever I may do, I can have a Big Mac or I can have a slice of pizza. Or I can have, you know what I mean? So I'm changing my thought process. You know, when then I'm in camp, I say, I'm training to kill this bloke or fight this bloke. You know what I mean? So it's just the way you think of that thing.
If the fight is, say, October, outside of actual camp, so how far out from a fight do you start camp? How many weeks?
I like to do 12 weeks, 10 to 12 weeks. But it's a building process.
Yeah.
You know, like the first day, I don't go hammer and tongs.
No.
You know, I'm just... But at that 12 week is, again, different mindset now.
Yeah.
It's fight mindset.
So in the period before that 12-week start of camp, do you do any sparring?
Nah. So I only spar
sparring.
six weeks out. Yeah,
Right.
And a lot of fighters, like, you know, I talk to a lot of fighters and I say, oh, what are you doing today? Like, oh, I'm sparring. Oh, when you're fighting, they're like, oh, we don't know yet. Why are you sparring? You know what I mean? Like, you're prepping.
Potentially taking damage for no reason whatsoever.
You're literally shortening your career. And I used to be like, oh, let's spar, coach, and this and that. Now, at 30, I can't do it as much. But, you know, at 6 weeks out is when we start training, you know, sparring. You know, like, I'll do the first 4 rounds twice, 3 times a week. Then the next week, I'll up it to 6 rounds. Then next week, 8 rounds.
Yeah.
And next week, 10 rounds. And then that your 2-3 weeks out is your last 12 rounders or 10 rounders, you know what I mean? You're doing it 2-3 times a week. And that's quality. You're getting quality boys. You're punching on, you know, twice a week. You've got 2 fights a week for 6 weeks.
Yeah. Are you always sparring against guys in the same weight class?
No. So, you know, we either do a division heavier or someone that's, you know, highly world class at the same weight.
Right.
You know, I don't do guys, like some guys spar people that are 2 divisions smaller. I'm like, what are you going to get out of that?
What's the point?
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense. But
with you said before you don't watch too much tape and stuff like that, but outside of boxing, is there any athletes or just people in general that you have kind of like take inspiration from and add things to your own life? You said before you're doing the cold showers and all that type of stuff, and you're pretty big on like your mental game as well. So is there things that you've taken from other athletes or inspiration from other people to add those tools to your toolkit?
not really. To be honest, I don't really watch much sport, to be honest.
Right.
But I listen to a lot of Eric Thomas.
Yeah.
You know, motivational speaking. I listen to people say what kind of music you listen to and stuff. Like, I listen to those like motivational, you know, that slow music and keep pushing. And I'm always listening to that. And I hear things and see things, and even like TikTok. I know it sounds stupid, but I'm all about these like all my saved videos, all these motivational, you know, self-doubt or whatever it may be. I find they really help me. I'll be sitting on the couch just going through my TikTok, and I'll see a video and I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna go for a run. Like, it's just cheat me up.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna go to the gym and like. So I just try to always mentally be on.
Yeah, okay.
Because as soon as you switch off, it's an ugly world to be in.
Do you find much enjoyment in watching other combat sports such as UFC?
I mean, look, you know, I'm friends with Alex Volkanovski and stuff like that. So when he fights and stuff, I'll watch in the big fights. But like I don't follow it religiously, and you know, like this ranking and that ranking. I don't really know how it works. I just want to see the people I know win. You know what I mean? And
what about in other, you know, for example, we were talking before about the Bivol and Canelo fight the other week. Like, do you tune into most kind of main event fights?
Well, now I do because they're potential opponents. You know, like these guys in my division. You know, early days I was like, man, I'm boxing 7 days a week. I don't need to watch more boxing. You know, but now because they're opponents and stuff like that, and strategically, you know, I might check in and I watch always the big fights. But again, I don't religiously like if I miss a fight, I'm not going to be like, oh, you know, it is what it is. I'll just check who won. You know, like same result. You know what I mean? So instead of sitting there for 36 minutes, I'm like, who won? You know, so if I just find like when I'm outside of the gym, I just want to switch off, you know, and talk about the sun or the weather, you know, or something, something different.
Watch TikTok.
Watch TikTok. You know, mentally build. You know, what I mean, grow.
Yeah.
And TikTok's dangerous, man.
It's dangerous. Time waster. You were before we were talking about the camp and how it's very periodized in terms of the 12 weeks, but it's obviously not, you know, hammer and tong right from day one. With the strength training side of things, is that quite periodized as well? Like, what's your approach with strength, and how often are you doing? Are you in the gym with
strength.
weights?
I suck. I've never seen anyone suck more than me. But I do twice a week, and I'll do that for 12 weeks.
Right.
But then I'll up it. So at the start of the 12 week, it'll be heavy stuff, and then as we get to like the sparring, I'll start doing more like plyometric stuff.
Right.
And more, you know,
reduce the load.
Yeah. If you watch a strength and conditioning session, you'll piss yourself laughing. I've never been.
Come in, mate.
Mate, it's shocking. I'll put my hand up. I suck. I absolutely suck.
This is a bit of a random question, but for anyone watching or listening that is interested in boxing and wants to step in the ring in any form, like in your opinion, what is the pathway to eventually someone stepping in the ring for their first pro fight? Like you see, like how long should someone spend in amateurs before even trying to step? Like I know it's a bit of a random question, but someone who's genuinely interested.
I'm not a big fan of the amateurs. You know, I didn't have a big amateur career, and because it's two different sports. As much as you're punching on, it's you know, amateur boxing is like fencing. You know, the sword. Yeah. So it's very like point system. Very like it's a different sport where pros is more. You know, let's punch on. You know, who's a tougher dude. You know, who's controlled it, who threw more, who landed more. So for me, I always tell everyone's like, well, you know, I just say train hard and you'll fight easy. You know, that's just the key. You mentally just push, and when it comes fight time, you know, if you've done the work, you'll have no dramas. Yeah. And it's just life. Like I've given 200% before and lost, and I've given 200%. It's just he gave 201. You know, like that's life. So people have like losses and setbacks, and like, oh shit, you know, I'm done. It's like, man, everyone gets bad days. Everyone gets setbacks. And every time I failed, like those 4 losses that I've had in my career, which isn't many out of 34, you know, but every time I've lost, my next fight was something bigger. Yeah. So I actually grew. Every time I had some setback, it was actually something for something bigger. Something bigger. Yeah. So like even when I've won, my next fight, I won, but I'm like, why am I going not backwards, but I've just plateaued a little bit.
Gone sideways.
Yeah, you know, like when I've lost, I'm like, oh, fuck, I've lost. Naturally, you'd think I'm going backwards. But I'm like, man, I've actually gotten something bigger and better.
How important is it now? You see a lot of fighters, as you kind of alluded to before, like fighters that are in the pros that do have potential, almost taking easy fights to build up their record without any losses. Like, how important is it from a marketing and like your pay perspective to have no losses?
Losses, like again.
Do you think there's as much importance on it as, I guess, from what it seems on the outside?
Yeah, look, everyone wants to have a padded record. No one wants to lose that O. And I'm like, but why? Like, I don't understand. Like, the best in the world have lost. You know, Floyd Mayweather's probably the only one that hasn't. But look at Canelo Alvarez had a loss. Look at all these triple Gs and look where they're at. You know what I mean? Like, again, that's what I said. Every loss is something, you know, you've learned from it and you're going to move forward. You can't fail at something twice. I'm a big believer in that. If you fail at something twice, then like there's nothing between your ears. You know what I mean? Like, you should learn from what you've done the first time and build on that. So, again, for me, when I didn't really care about a record. I just said I want to fight the best. Yeah. And if you have that mentality of win, lose or draw, it is what it is. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Yeah. There's more to life than boxing. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I always say the guy going in on a Friday night is the same, whatever the outcome is the same guy that's waking up Saturday morning. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Well, on that topic, what is obviously not putting too much thought to it because you're in your prime at the moment, but what are your interests outside of boxing, or what do you see yourself kind of pursuing post-boxing career?
I've had a few things, but I mean, I want to open up a gym, and but not a boxing gym, just like an everyday adulties or there just something where I can go in there and just enjoy life. All I've known is the fight world fitness, so I mean, I'm
stay in that lane.
Yeah, I'm doing a building course at the moment as well, just something different.
Yeah.
Know nothing about it, but I'm just learning. You know what I mean? So hopefully something comes out of that. But again, I want to be a world champion. That's all I'm worried about at the moment now. But definitely something along the fitness line, I reckon.
I got to ask, does the Tim Tszyu fight happen at any 100%. Stage, you think? Yeah?
100%. We're already in negotiations now. It's been he said, she said,
What needs to happen for that to happen? Is it him being denied a fight overseas to...
Tszyu needs to grow a pair of balls. That's what it is. He's scared. And I know he's scared. Off camera, mate, you should see look at it. Look, okay, perfect example. Look at it. You've seen him now. He's got all this confidence in the world. Yeah, he's talking about knocking out this and breaking it. Where was he talking like that when I was in front of him? He didn't say not one word. He needs to grow a pair of balls and sign a contract.
Looking at the rankings before, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not 100% sure. But so number 5 in the world at the moment. Is there two? At least one of the guy's second. Is that the guy that he's trying to fight at the moment?
No, that's his twin brother.
Right.
Yeah, so there's Jamal and Jamal Charlo. Yeah, I know. You could have
lazy.
You could have parents
had
one job.
Thought to that, did they?
Parent had one job, literally. But yeah, so I've got they're both absolute animals, but the better one's in my division.
Right.
Well, the undefeated one.
So
I wouldn't say better.
How does that work then? If you guys, so is he different weight class than you, or what's?
Yeah, so he's one lower than me.
Right.
But I've only gone up because...
So were you going to be coming down or him coming up
to fight? I'm happy to go down. So basically when he was in the amateurs, I was in that division and I cleaned up that division, but then I ended up going up to fight Jeff Horn.
Yep.
And then I was highly world ranked after knocking him out and stuff and the rematch clause and stuff. Then he came up. So then I just basically stayed in that division because I dominated the 69 division. And then I just chilled at that one. But now I'm happy to come back and fight him, which I said I would. Yeah.
So there is negotiations there.
Yeah, well, it's the biggest fight in Australian boxing. I reckon it's the biggest one ever. I reckon they'll do over 100,000 pay-per-views. Man, like it's mundane green all over again.
If that fight was to, if both teams were to agree on that fight, would you put off I'm assuming you wouldn't put off the world title fight opportunity to do that fight, or you would?
It's a team decision. I mean, I'd fight him tonight if I could. But it's a team decision. I wouldn't be where I am today without my team, so I wouldn't make a decision solely on myself.
Love that. Mate, just before we wrap up, what's your prediction for Haney and Kambosos?
Look, I'm good mates with Kambosos, so I'm definitely going to back my boy. But look, Haney is a beast, man. I was actually watching his highlights last night, and I always talk about levels, and you don't get much higher than that. He does everything pretty good. But George is got the biggest heart in this sport. He's the king at the moment in Australian boxing. And look, I think, that Lionheart will get him over the line, but Devin Haney is a hard boy to beat. And I'm backing Georgie. Lastly, it's just got me thinking. So that fight's at Marvel, isn't it? Haney and Kambosos, yeah. If you and Tszyu fight each other, is there any chance of that happening at a stadium at that size? Yeah, 100%. Like I said, that will sell out. Yeah, we sold when we were actually meant to fight. We sold 15,000 tickets in 24 hours, 48 hours, and there was 60,000 pay-per-views already pending. Yeah. So, and that was in the space of 2 days. So, and now it's even bigger. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But yeah, like I said, he credit to him. I'm not going to be that fighter that's going to put someone down. But look, we dislike each other. He's doing good things. If he gets a world title shot, bring it home. We need another Aussie to bring it home. I'm not going to say, I hope he loses, but a fight needs to be made between me and him. The bragging rights need to stop. And who's the best fighter? I think it's me. He thinks it's him. Only one way to settle it. Fuck yeah, can't wait, mate. Thanks for coming on. Really looking forward to the remainder of the year to see how you go and hopefully bring home a world title and pumped for you to get the opportunity. You're a hard worker and we've known each other for a little while now, and it's just good to see things, all the hard work paying off, and let's hope it keeps going. I appreciate it, bro. Thanks for having me back on. Pleasure. It, thanks everyone who's tuned into this episode. Really appreciate if you've enjoyed this conversation. We'd love for you to grab a screenshot of this one, share it on your social media, send a link to a friend, or just tell someone about the episode, and look forward to chatting to you again in the next episode.